Segment. Kevin Stefanski, speaking. Kevin Stefanski may think he's protecting his young quarterback, but the tape tells a different story. While Sanders is flashing elite instincts and decision-making, his coach is calling plays like he's still unsure whether the rookie belongs. That disconnect is becoming harder to ignore, especially when analysts and players like Cam Ward are openly applauding Sanders for playing beyond his years. Ward didn't mince words. This is a quarterback who's already showing he can lead a franchise. The real issue now isn't development, it's trust or the lack of it from the sideline. And that trust isn't a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. Sanders is proving he can win and, more importantly, that he can lead. The longer Cleveland hesitates to hand him the reins, the greater the risk of stalling momentum that's already taken years to build. The video doesn't just celebrate Sanders' performance, it warns of what happens when teams fail to back their stars at the right time. With a player like this, waiting isn't patience, it's a mistake. Segment. CW Cam Ward speaking. Folder not found, create new folder. Cam Ward speaking. Cam Ward didn't just speak highly of Shedeur Sanders, he laid it out plain. No hesitation. No qualifying statements. Just facts. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie quarterback, is already commanding the field like someone who's been in the league for years. And that's not just hype. That's not media spin. That's one quarterback recognizing greatness in another and calling it exactly how it is. It's a rare moment when a peer, especially one as respected as Ward, steps up and publicly praises a rookie. Because you don't do that unless the performance demands it. And in Shedeur's case, it absolutely did. That interview wasn't just a pat on the back, it was a full-throated endorsement. A declaration that this guy is not just good for a rookie, he's good, period. Segment. SS in Browns vs Titans recent match, and the tape backs it up. In the game against the Titans, Shedeur was poised, sharp, unbothered by pressure. Over 300 yards in the air, smart reads, perfect pocket movement, and leadership that most teams dream about. It wasn't about highlight reel plays. It was about control. About calm. About doing the job with precision while defenders tried to rattle him. They didn't. He stayed steady. Segment. SS NFL match compilation. That's what Cam Ward saw. That's what analysts are seeing. That's what fans are responding to. Sanders isn't showing flashes, he's showing consistency. That's what makes this story different. Because he's not just defying expectations, he's doing it in a way that redefines what we should be expecting from a young quarterback. So the respect from Ward? That wasn't just commentary. It was a signal. Segment. Kevin Stefanski speaking, but here's the twist, the one that makes this story more than just a breakout performance. While Shedeur is putting up numbers, earning the respect of veterans, and leading with maturity, his own coaching staff is holding him back. Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, has found himself at the center of growing criticism. And honestly, it's deserved. Because while Sanders is showing he can take control, Stefanski keeps calling games like he's coaching a quarterback who can't be trusted. The play calling is cautious. The offense is dialed back. Everything feels like it's being filtered through a lens of risk aversion instead of potential maximization. And that's a huge problem when your quarterback is outplaying the very system meant to support him. This isn't about one or two decisions, it's about a pattern. A conservative approach that's limiting one of the most promising young quarterbacks we've seen in years. Sanders is out there moving like a franchise QB, but Stefanski keeps scripting games like he's still on a tryout. Segment. SS new match photos. That's where the frustration kicks in. Because Shedeur has earned trust. He's shown he can handle pressure, he can process reads, he can throw with anticipation, and most importantly, he can lead. His poise under fire, his timing, his ability to reset a drive, it all points to someone who's not just ready to play but ready to win. Segment. Kevin Stefanski Master Collection. And yet, the system keeps dragging him down. The offense is playing scared. The schemes are predictable. The aggressiveness just isn't there. It's like Stefanski is trying to shrink the moment when Sanders is clearly ready to expand it. And when you coach scared, you send a message, one that says you don't believe in the guy under center. Segment. SS speaking, that's where the real damage starts. Because Shedeur isn't just executing plays, he's setting a tone. His teammates feed off his energy. They follow his lead. And when that leadership isn't matched by the coaching, that disconnect spreads. Guys start to wonder why the game plan doesn't reflect the guy running it. They start to question whether the system is holding the team back. And they're right to. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't the liability, he's the solution. The Browns don't need to protect him from failure, they need to give him the tools to succeed. They need to stop coaching like he's a risk and start coaching like he's the future. Segment, SS interview, but that's not happening. And it's becoming more obvious every week. What's even more frustrating is that this could have been the clean break Cleveland needed. A fresh start. A new era. They found their guy. A rookie with leadership, intelligence, and the skill set to build around. But instead of stepping into that moment, the coaching staff is shrinking from. Choosing safety over progress. Control over creativity. And in doing so, they're risking everything. Because Shedeur didn't just arrive, he broke through. This is a quarterback who was overlooked, doubted, criticized for his college competition, passed over in the draft. But none of that stuck. He came into the league with pressure, and he's handling it better than some veterans. He's defying every lazy narrative that was thrown at him. He's proven he belongs. And now he's waiting for the team around him to catch up. Segment, SS NFL match compilation, because there's a window here. One that doesn't stay open forever. You get a young quarterback playing this well this early, and you either build with him, or you waste him. And once you start wasting him, that damage is hard to undo. Players start to lose faith. The fan base turns. And before you know it, you're left wondering how you fumbled something so rare. The thing is, Shedeur Sanders doesn't need to prove anything else right now. He's passed every test. He's shown leadership, resilience, and talent in ways that rookies just aren't supposed to. The next step? That's on the coaching staff. And so far, they haven't taken it. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking. They're still holding back. Still calling games like it's week 1. Still playing like they're afraid to let him loose. But here's the reality. You can't unlock a franchise quarterback if you don't trust him. You can't ask a player to lead and then ignore the way he leads. You can't develop a star by forcing him into a box built for someone else. That's the core issue. The system is outdated. It doesn't match Sanders' style, his IQ, his presence. And every time they keep it conservative, they're stalling what could be a massive leap, not just for him but for the entire team. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski Master Collection. Other teams are watching this, by the way. Front offices, scouts, coaches. They see what Shedeur's doing. And they're wondering how long Cleveland's going to take before they wake up. Because quarterbacks like this, they don't come around often. If you're not careful, someone else will find a way to build around him. That's how stories like this turn. That's how you go from having a franchise cornerstone to losing one. And let's be very clear, if that happens, it won't be because Shedeur Sanders didn't do enough. It'll be because the system around him didn't rise to meet his level. So here we are. A quarterback showing he's more than ready. A coach refusing to adapt. And a fan base watching it unfold in real time. The question now isn't about Sanders. It's about Stefanski. Can he adjust? Will he take the handcuffs off? Will he finally coach to win instead of coaching not to lose? Because if he doesn't, the Browns won't just lose games. They'll lose a player who could have changed everything. Segment, Cleveland Browns Matches Master Collection. If you've been following this story, if you're seeing the same disconnect we are, drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you believe Shedeur deserves more trust. Share it with someone still blaming the rookie instead of the headset. And make sure you're subscribed, because if the Browns don't make changes soon, this situation is going to explode. And we'll be here for every second of it. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking. At a certain point, it stops being about rookie development and starts looking like straight-up mismanagement. That's the uncomfortable truth Cleveland doesn't want to face right now. Because while Shedeur Sanders is out here proving game after game that he has the composure, awareness, and leadership of a veteran, the coaching staff is still calling plays like he's a liability. The disconnect is so loud it's echoing beyond the stadium. Let's not dance around it. Kevin Stefanski is playing scared. He's calling games like he's trying to minimize risk, not maximize opportunity. And when your quarterback is already playing beyond expectation, that approach doesn't just slow the offense, it kills its momentum. And that's exactly what we're watching unfold. Segment, SS Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski. Shedeur is doing more than anyone had a right to expect this early in his career. He's not wide-eyed. He's not overwhelmed. He's not throwing panic balls into double coverage or melting down under pressure. Quite the opposite. He's calm, disciplined, in control. And when Cam Ward, a fellow quarterback who knows the grind and understands the nuance, says Sanders is already moving like a seasoned pro, that means something. It validates what we're seeing. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking. Ward's praise wasn't casual. He didn't just say good game and keep it moving. He highlighted Sanders' leadership, his execution, his ability to perform under duress. That level of peer respect doesn't come easy. It has to be earned. And Sanders has earned it, in record time. But here's what makes that praise sting. The coaching staff doesn't seem to believe it. While Ward is talking about Sanders like he's the real deal, Stefanski is still rolling out cautious game scripts, draining the life out of the offense with predictable calls and third-down cowardice. It's like he's terrified that letting Sanders off the leash might expose some hidden weakness. Newsflash, it won't. If anything, not trusting him is the bigger problem. Segment, SS practicing. The longer this continues, the clearer it becomes. Sanders is already too good for the version of the offense he's been handed. The scheme isn't rising to match his talent. It's holding him back. And that's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. Because you can't expect a quarterback, especially one this mentally sharp, to keep buying into a system that doesn't buy into him. You can't ask for leadership while denying the guy a voice. And you definitely can't talk about development while refusing to give your quarterback the opportunities that allow him to actually grow. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking. Development isn't about coddling. It's about trust. It's about saying, you've earned this, now let's see what you can do with it. And Shedeur has more than earned that right. He's shown he can read defenses, adjust protections, execute under pressure, and elevate his team. So why is Stefanski still coaching like he's playing with a placeholder? The safe, overly scripted play calling isn't just stifling Sanders, it's stifling the whole offense. Defenses aren't being challenged. Receivers aren't being given the chance to stretch the field. The run-pass balance feels less like strategy and more like indecision. Segment, SS speaking, and fans? They're noticing. Loudly. They can see the contrast. They watch Sanders operate with confidence and control, only for the coaching to repeatedly shut the door on momentum. Whether it's a conservative red zone call, a timid third-and-long approach, or just a refusal to take advantage of favorable matchups, it all says the same thing. The coaches don't trust their quarterback. Which is wild because everyone else does. Cam Ward, other players, analysts, fans, they see the spark. They see the maturity. And more importantly, they see the gap between what Shedeur's capable of and what he's being allowed to do. Segment, Cleveland Browns matches master collection. This kind of misalignment isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a threat to the team's future. When you have a quarterback this talented, this early, your job as a coach is simple. Build around him. Adapt. Expand. Let him lead. Because if you don't, you risk stalling his growth. Worse, you risk losing him entirely, not physically but emotionally. And that's how you start eroding your locker room from the inside. Let's not forget, players know when a coach doesn't trust the quarterback. They see it in the calls. They hear it in the meetings. And when a young leader like Shedeur is clearly doing his job, but the coaching keeps pulling back the reins, that respect can shift from the sidelines to the huddle real quick. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking, and that's how coaches lose teams. The clock is ticking. Shedeur's not going to be a rookie forever. His patience won't be either. Eventually, the questions will start coming from inside the building. Why aren't we letting him cook? What are we waiting for? And those questions aren't just fair, they're necessary. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski Master Collection. Because right now, it's not about whether Sanders is capable. It's about whether Stefanski is. Is he capable of adapting? Of letting go of control long enough to realize his quarterback already has it? Is he willing to shift from fear-based football to something more ambitious? Something built around the guy who's proving week after week that he's not just a piece of the puzzle, he is the puzzle. If not, then Cleveland's ceiling is already set. And look, we've seen this movie before. Talented quarterbacks smothered by outdated systems. Teams wasting a perfectly good opportunity because the people in charge didn't know how to evolve. And once that window closes, it doesn't just swing back open. It locks. It rusts. And it becomes part of a franchise's long list of what-ifs. Segment, SS speaking, don't let Shedeur Sanders become another what-if. He's already shown the composure of a 10-year vet. The respect he's earned from peers is rare. His on-field presence is stabilizing. He has the kind of traits you build a culture around. So what's stopping Cleveland from handing him the keys? If the answer is experience, that's a cop-out. Experience isn't a barrier when the performance is already at that level. And if the answer is fear, fear of mistakes, fear of growing pains, fear of giving too much too soon, that's even worse. Because fear doesn't win championships. It doesn't build dynasties. It doesn't grow quarterbacks. Trust does. Segment, SS New Match Photos 1. So give him the reins. Not next season. Not when things get desperate. No. While the team still has momentum. While the locker room still believes. While the fans are still excited. Take the risk. Let the offense evolve. Build the system around the guy who's already operating like a leader. Because if Cleveland doesn't, someone else will. This league is built on talent. And right now, other teams are watching. They see what Shedeur's doing. They see the growth. They see the potential. And they also see the misalignment. If the Browns keep coaching him like a backup, it won't take long before people start wondering what he could do somewhere else. Somewhere with vision. With urgency. With belief. Segment, Cleveland Browns matches master collection. And if it gets to that point, Stefanski's playbook won't be the thing people remember. They'll remember the quarterback he couldn't elevate. The one he played it too safe with. The one who had everything, except a coach who believed enough to let it show. So here's the question Cleveland needs to answer. Do you want to win? Or do you want to wait? Because Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting. He's already proving. He's already leading. The question is whether the franchise has the guts to follow. Segment, SS practicing. At this point, it's no longer a developmental issue, it's a philosophical one. We're watching a young quarterback, already displaying the discipline, intellect, and confidence of a veteran, being force-fed a playbook that treats him like a liability. And the longer this continues, the more it starts to feel intentional. Not out of malice, but out of fear. Fear of letting go. Fear of being wrong. Fear of change. But here's the problem. Fear doesn't win football games. Fear doesn't build legacies. And fear definitely doesn't develop franchise quarterbacks. Segment, CW Cam Ward speaking. Shedeur Sanders didn't come into the league to be babied. He came into work. To compete. To lead. And through every snap, every drive, every press conference, he's shown he's not just ready for the NFL, he's thriving in it. The praise from Cam Ward wasn't some feel-good fluff. It was a quarterback calling it like it is. Shedeur is playing like a vet because mentally, emotionally, and mechanically, he is one. And that's not hyperbole. It's backed by every measurable and intangible that matters. His poise. Off the charts. His field vision. Clean. His ability to stay composed under pressure. Rare. His leadership. Natural. He's not rattled. He's not guessing. He's reading the game in real time and making decisions like someone who's seen it all before. Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski speaking, but instead of capitalizing on that, Kevin Stefanski is coaching around it. The offense is stale, predictable, safe to the point of sabotage. Third down situations where Shedeur should be given the green light to go vertical, run up the middle. Opportunities to push the tempo, wasted with scripted conservatism. You can feel the energy being sucked out of the offense, not because the players aren't ready, but because the staff isn't. Segment, SS Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski. This is where the disconnect becomes dangerous. You've got a player who's exceeding expectations every week, and instead of meeting him there, the coaching staff is trying to drag him back down to where they're comfortable. And let's call that what it is, fear of accountability. Because if you give Shedeur the keys and he delivers, the praise goes to him. But if he fails, the criticism lands squarely on Stefanski's shoulders for trusting him too soon. So instead of trusting the growth, Stefanski is playing the odds. Trying to manage outcomes by limiting exposure. But you know what happens when you do that? You lose games you could have won. You drain momentum from a quarterback who's already leading. You tell your locker room, subtly but clearly, we don't think he's ready. Segment, SS NFL match compilation, and the players? They hear that. They see what's happening on the field. They watch Shedeur put the team on his back during tough drives, only to have the momentum killed by ultra-safe play calls. They watch a guy who clearly has the juice get treated like a placeholder. And the longer that goes on, the harder it becomes to keep everyone bought in. Because eventually the disconnect turns into division. We've seen this pattern across the league. Talented young quarterbacks getting boxed into safe systems designed to ease them in. But what happens when the quarterback is already beyond that point? What happens when he's not just surviving the system but outperforming it? Segment, KS Kevin Stefanski Master Collection. What happens is this, the system starts holding him back. And that's what's happening in Cleveland right now. Every week that Stefanski refuses to evolve this offense is another week where Sanders has to do more with less. It's another game of playing with one arm tied behind his back. And the worst part? He's still delivering. Still moving the chains. Still showing up in crunch time. But how long can you ask your rookie quarterback to carry a team and navigate around his own coaching staff? That's the real question. Because if we're being honest, this is less about Shedeur's ceiling and more about whether the Browns have the organizational maturity to get out of their own way. Because right now, their fear of risk is costing them a golden opportunity to change the trajectory of their franchise. Segment, New match photos. The league is watching this unfold. Analysts are starting to whisper louder. Fans are raising eyebrows. And you can already feel the tide turning, from Shedeur needs more time, to what is Stefanski doing? Because let's be clear, the missed opportunities are stacking up. It's not just about plays left on the field. It's about the tone of the season. About what kind of identity you're building. Right now, the identity Cleveland is projecting is one of hesitation, not confidence. And that's not on the quarterback. That's on the people calling the shots. Segment, interview, and while all this is happening, Shedeur is doing what leaders do, showing up regardless. He's not calling out the coaches. He's not throwing teammates under the bus. He's doing his job with maturity and grace. He's owning his mistakes and celebrating his teammates' wins. He's handling everything like a pro, and still he's being asked to stay in the slow lane. For what? At what point do you stop saying he's only a rookie and start saying he's ready? Because the NFL doesn't care about how old you are. It cares about whether you can perform under pressure, lead in big moments, and command respect in the locker room. Shedeur is doing all of that. He's checking boxes every week. And if Cleveland continues to slow play his development out of fear, the regret will be loud, public, and completely self-inflicted. Segment, Cleveland Browns matches master collection. Look around the league. How many teams are desperate for even a glimpse of the kind of leadership Shedeur is showing? And Cleveland has it right now. On a rookie deal. With the full backing of his teammates and the respect of his peers. That's the foundation of a rebuild. That's the spark of a culture shift. But none of that matters if you don't trust it. And let's be very clear. If this continues, someone else will. Teams around the league are watching this unfold, and you better believe they're taking notes. Because quarterbacks like this don't come around often, and if Cleveland squanders the opportunity, they'll be in the rearview mirror of his career highlights for years to come. Segment, Kevin Stefanski speaking. This moment isn't just about this week's game. It's about what it signals. Does this franchise have the courage to evolve? To meet its quarterback where he is, rather than forcing him to shrink into a system that no longer fits? Or will they continue to hide behind conservative schemes and rookie protocols, while their most valuable player waits for permission to lead? Because Shedeur isn't asking for anything he hasn't earned. He's not demanding spotlight or special treatment. He's just asking for the offense to reflect what he's already doing on the field. And that's not a big ask. That's basic alignment. The fact that it's even a discussion is exactly why fans are frustrated. Why analysts are raising red flags. Why Cam Ward's words hit so hard. Because when someone inside the league says what everyone else is thinking, that this rookie is already moving like a franchise QB, it throws the spotlight on everything Cleveland's doing wrong. Segment, Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski. So the question is no longer about Shedeur's readiness. It's about Cleveland's. Are they ready to build around him? To empower him? To design an offense that actually matches his skill set and leadership? Or are they going to keep dragging this out until the narrative flips completely, until Shedeur starts to look frustrated, until the locker room starts to sound divided, and until fans start to demand a change at the top? Because if things stay the way they are, that's where this is heading. And when it does, the blame won't land on the quarterback. It'll land on the headset. Segment, speaking. So here's the takeaway, Shedeur Sanders is doing his part. He's rising. He's leading. He's proving week after week that the moment isn't too big. The next move? That's on Cleveland. Adapt. Evolve. Let go of fear. Or watch this story go from triumph to tragedy, authored not by the player, but by the people who refuse to believe in him fast enough. Drop a comment if you're seeing the same disconnect. Like if you're on the side of letting Shedeur lead. Share this with someone still saying, give it time. And hit subscribe, because if this coaching philosophy doesn't change soon, trust us, you're going to want front row seats for what happens next.